frameworks between European Union countries for cooperation, coordination for investigation, prosecution, repatriation, everything, which we don't have. Some countries have specialized bodies which is working on this. Coming to the accountability of technological firms, globally, what we have understood is technological companies, whether it is Facebook, whether it is any company, for them the business interest is bigger than human interest for all of them. That is what was told everywhere in the country. They also acknowledged there were rogue companies who do not follow any law. Any law they don't follow, they don't accept. But they also acknowledged there was many companies, again I mentioned Google, Facebook and some other companies who are willing to partner, willing to change, bring in safeguarding methodologies. One way of doing that was setting up NCMEC in the United States, which has brought in mandatory reporting of all technological firms to the government. That has been mandated there. In terms of US legal intervention, United States of America has some very, very interesting happenings where websites which are hosting adult content have been fixed with responsibilities. Backpage.com, Craigslist were fixed with responsibilities. $200 million was taken away from them as damages for facilitating sex trafficking on their pages. United Kingdom reported of how they used financial institutions like Visa and MasterCard to control technological firms. And in Philippines, Skype had to stop operations for facilitating child trafficking through live streaming, entire operations. So these are the global interventions that has happened. Victim protection across the world still evolving. It is conditional to supporting for prosecution. There are several victim-centric legal framework, and I'm very, very impressed by what the United States of America has done in, and I request our Home Minister to consider that as a suggestion, because they have formed the first advisory council of survivors to guide the government to make better policies on human trafficking, which is a wonderful suggestion way forward. All the countries have reported that COVID, war, civil unrest has worsened the situation. European Union, where prostitution or sex work is legalized, actually mentioned that legalization of prostitution has actually made the problem worsened, because now the traffickers online are able to mask themselves better, more anonymity, and a false narrative of consent is easily provided. And all the global bodies have mentioned that there is no international statute that binds all the country. There is no international regulatory framework that provides an enforcement framework to address technological firms. While AI has not been mentioned so much by global experts, but all of them gave that rider that this is going to be the potential problem in human trafficking cases in the near future. Now, coming to what are the findings of India, I just want to say that the word cyber-enabled human trafficking was Greek and Latin for all the officers across the country. Nobody understood that word. But once we explained what that word means, everybody understood. So it is just the word which is not known, but the concept is known to everybody, because they gave us many, many examples of what has happened. All the officers across the country said traditional forms of human trafficking is happening unabated. Technology has just brought in one more layer through social media sites, job matrimonial sites, dating sites, online games, and classified. Newer forms have come through online criminality. One finding that came again and again across India is the narrative of poverty, economic hardship as the reason for human trafficking is changing. Now it is emotional vulnerability, anybody who's feeling alone. There is also another finding that came is the cyber police stations and the anti-human trafficking units are working in different silos, and there is no coordination between the two in understanding that cybercrime also could be human trafficking. There is a big knowledge skill gap on the application of law on how to deal with cyber-enabled human trafficking. There is a huge gap in infrastructure, resources. Some states have used very strong war room strategies, like the state of Kerala has gone hammer and tongs against child sexually abusive material. The state of Maharashtra has gone hammer and tongs against instant loan apps. I think state of Telangana and a couple of other states have worked on recovery of money that has gone into phishing and financial frauds. So some states have made some very strong efforts, but human trafficking cases, not many have done anything. There is a huge gap in interstate mechanisms. There is a huge gap in legal provisions, and there is also a huge gap in preparedness to deal with the quantum of the problem. Victim protection is still in its nascent stage in India related to cyber-enabled human trafficking, because all the focus is on women and children. Cyber-enabled human trafficking is bringing men into the picture. There is no support mechanism for men available. There is a whole lot of gaps in community-based rehabilitation program. There's a gap in trauma-informed services. Everything is just in the starting stage. Women and Child Welfare Department is just coming to know about it. So a little bit, you know, there is the pace at which the traffickers are moving and all of us who are supposed to counter this are moving slightly. There is a big gap between that pace. Civil society understands this problem, but is not able to fix responsibility on tech firms. There are organizations who are working on CSAM. There are centers of excellence. There is digital solutions in all silos. Nobody is coming together. Very few cases of cyber-enabled human trafficking has been lodged anywhere in the country, and the damages due to technology, the digital damage on the psyche of a human being is not even addressed by civil society. I just very quickly want to give the findings from the investigations that we did. We did several investigations, and the 5 most big investigation that revealed was all the adult sexual services sites and dating sites, matrimonial sites, job sites are used for sex trafficking, including child trafficking. We were able to purchase a 14-year-old girl on the site very easily without any problem. We also see practically all sites being used for organ trade and illegal adoption. We were able to come till the point of they giving us where to come and give the organ. Till that stage, we went into the operations. We also were able to see a third form of investigation that revealed young men, and this has been spoken again and again, I'm just repeating that, how young men who are literate, who are computer skilled, are being lured in the name of jobs and taken to different parts of the golden triangle, that is Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, kept in captivity, beaten, tortured, done everything, and forced to commit cyber crimes. So cybercrime today, the phishing, all that, could be done by a human traffic victim sitting in Myanmar or Cambodia. So there is a direct link there. We also saw another very disturbing trend where we interacted with many victims. We interacted with young men who have been forced to join the war in Russia and in Hamas by promises of jobs in Russia and Europe. And we also, the biggest investigation we did is how easy is it to get child sexually abusive material on internet. So I'm just going to take 3 of them and quickly tell you that. The first one was online criminality, how young men are being taken. What we found in our findings was the age of the young men was 18 to 30 years. All of them were educated. Most of them were from lower middle classes. They were all lured through job sites, social media groups. They were all promised better jobs abroad with high salaries as GTP operators. They were asked to take tourist visa. They were also promised that you take your ticket, when you come there, everything will be reimbursed. Once they reached, and they were using the path of Thailand, the number victims that we met were using the journey was through Thailand. All their passports were taken away, and people dressed in military uniform received them, took them in some truck. For 6 hours they were traveled, and they have reached some remote places in jungles called as compounds, and there they were held in captivity. They were beaten up. We've heard accounts from victims where they were said they were hanged behind for 3 days till they said yes. The man we were discussing with, he was kept inside water for 3 days, submerged inside the water for 3 days. This whole lot of physical torture, including electric shocks they were given. And what was the form of exploitation? They were made to do cyber scamming. So all the fraud calls that you are getting on your phone comes from Myanmar or Cambodia or Laos or somewhere else. Their only job is speak in this language, do this fraud activity. This number of victims that we met, they informed us in that one compound, there were more than 2,000. So you can imagine the numbers we are talking about, 2,000 young men. Very, very surprisingly, one of the major findings in this investigation was victims were being victimized to victimize others. They were made criminals. So all victims had a former victim cheating them. There was the actual perpetrator was never seen by anybody. The first layer of people who were cheating were former victims themselves. That was the first finding. The second finding was all of them paid ransom, came out, and they were not willing to file a police complaint at all. So no police complaints were lodged. This is the Google image of the compound. These are the young men there. This one picture I have borrowed from Sarita ma'am, from her repository of pictures of young men who have come, they have come with such huge physical violence that they have gone through. The second investigation that we did was young men being taken to war zones, the target being 18 to 30 years. Again, there is a specific way they are targeting. Most of them are migrants working in Gulf from India, lower middle class, middle class. The contact is through YouTube videos. Baba Gaush is supposed to be the main YouTube man. He's promising job in Finland, Europe and other places for very high level, and the service sector, legitimate visas are provided and contracts are in Russian. Once they reach there, they are taken to the war zones. Very, very unfortunately and tragically, one young man whom we were dealing from Hyderabad was killed in a drone attack during his place of captivity in Russia-Ukraine border. All of them could not escape with ransom or anything else. They had to require government intervention, and Government of India is on the job. We established video contact. This is the video contact that we've had with victims who told us what is happening. They are right there in the border when they spoke to us. This is a young man who was killed in the drone attack when this happened. This is an ever-imagining structure. The third and the most distressing, disturbing investigation was on how easy it is to get child sexually abusive material. I want to say up front, we didn't go to the dark web. We didn't touch dark web at all. All this was on the surface web. What was very interesting, because I and my investigator were both here, we were all part of this investigation. One of the easiest thing was how easy the business was rolled out. We asked for something, In less than 30 seconds, 40 seconds, we got the menu card. What do you want? What kind of child rape video do you want? What is the nature? And I'll show you a menu card that has come to us. In a few minutes, we were able, I'm saying in minutes, we didn't go to hours at all. In a few minutes, we were able to deal with the sellers who are willing to buy. The payment was so friendly. We had to pay only 30 rupees, 40 rupees, 50 rupees. We didn't pay anything beyond 50 rupees or 60 rupees. And altogether, I paid 532 rupees. For 532 rupees, I was able to buy 9,000 videos of Indian children. And the youngest child in the videos that I saw was 6 months old baby who was being sexually assaulted in a nice house. It was not a brothel, a normal house. Some of the disturbing part of those videos, boys and girls were there, children, boys and girls, abusers, men and women. And what was more disturbing, and I completely agree with Saurabh sir when he says that we have to take the awareness till the house level, is 30% of the videos were made by children themselves. It was not some third party making. The child himself or herself is making a video of themselves. These are the kind of menu card that was posted in seconds that we got, and you can see what is the kind of things they are providing in less than few seconds. The next picture is a distressing picture, disturbing picture, but I want to show sometimes when we don't see it, we think it is there, but I don't want to see it. But I want you to see it. I want you to see it because for you to understand why people like me are so driven, why are we madly running behind every stakeholder and saying that we have to act now. This is the kind of videos that we were able to see from a 6-month baby to years. And if this does not push us to action, I don't know what will. We are breathing, we are walking on this earth, and thousands of our children across the globe, across our country, across our states are getting abused, molested, and there are people with impunity recording that abuse. There are people who are selling those videos, that content, and if we choose to say that we don't want to know the subject, we don't want to see the subject, I don't know what we are doing with our own privileges. Huge amount of questions came to me when we did this. Who are these children? Have these abusers been reported? Where have they been reported? Who are the sellers? Who are the buyers? Who are the abusers? Who are making children abuse their own selves? Why shouldn't we fix technological companies that they should mandatorily, moderate such content on their platforms? Why are we not becoming obsessed with accountability? I believe cyber-enabled human trafficking is a reality which is moving at a pace that none of us can match at this moment. And that is why it is time to awaken each one of us. And the time is now. We are not hearing the voices of the victims. We are not hearing the voices of those affected. And I believe no one stakeholder can do it. It is all of us together who have to make this change. Definitely not knowing is a good excuse not to act. But today in this August gathering, none of y'all can have that excuse and say, I don't know. Now you know. And now is the time to act. Jai Hind.
Sunita, what you shared is a jolt, absolutely jolt to our conscience. People in this room, people on the dais, everybody are working in some form as solution providers, and yet I think what we see has to kind of shake us up every time. It just stirs the insides of our conscience. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you to everybody who is collectively in this effort. And a huge salute to all those of you, officers, activists, and everybody, in fact, in civil society. May we really applaud that spirit. I know there's a huge amount of hard work that has gone inside. One can see from the investigation that you did what risks there were, and yet you have tabled this. And I think as a journalist, I really feel committed to do my contribution and spread the word and awareness as well. I would like to now invite Srimati Anita Vangalpudi Garu, Minister for Home Affairs, Government of Andhra Pradesh, for her inaugural address.
Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to all present here and for a good cause. Especially respected Honorable Minister of Women and Child Welfare and Tribal Welfare, my colleague, my friend, Mrs. Gumada Sandhya Rani Garu, and also respected DCP, just now he left, respected Secretary of Information Technology, Saurabh Gaur Garu, at the same time, Secretary, US Consulate General, Sunita Krishnan Garu, and at the same time, Suri Kumari Garu. It is indeed a great privilege for me to address this eminent gathering today. I welcome you all our officials from the 28 states and 8 union territories and 8 DCGPs, Directors of Prosecution and members of Judicial Academy, and the representatives from the Departments of Women and Child Welfare. And I am truly humbled to share this platform with respected Padma Shri Sunita Krishnan Garu. Thank you for the shedding light on the critical issues of women trafficking, a modern-day slavery that affect millions worldwide. Congratulations to Mrs. Sunita Krishnan and others working tirelessly and combat this crisis. And also warm welcome to thank you so much all dignitaries came here from various departments and various organizations. Today we gather to comfort one of the most pressing challenges in our time, human trafficking, now increasingly facilitated by the digital landscape. As technology evolves, so too do methods employed by traffickers, making our mission to protect the vulnerable more critical than ever. Human trafficking is not just a violation of human rights. It is a crime that devastates lives and communities. The internet and social media, while providing a platform for connection, have also become tools for exploitation. We must unite our effort to understand and combat these heinous practices. In addition to traditional methods of human trafficking, cyber-enabled human trafficking has emerged as a significant concern, leveraging technology to exploit and harm victims. This shift has made trafficking more covert, accessible, and widespread. This method for easy, wide, challenging to control. In today's digital age, the internet has transformed the way we communicate. As per the latest data, there are now over 850 million internet users in India. With this accelerated and largely unchecked advent of technology, the use of cyber technologies for the purpose of carrying out the crime of human trafficking has increased significantly. While the full scope of extent of technology facilitated abuse and exploitation remains unknown, global statistics show alarming increases in reported cases in recent years. Reported cases indicate cybercrime in India have been steadily increasing over the years due to greater internet penetration and digital adoption across the country. As per data released by the National Crime Record Bureau, there were 16,232 cases of cyber crimes against women and children, reflecting 32% increase in crimes against children from 2021. Reports during the COVID-19 pandemic highlighted increased child sexual abuse, particularly in cyberspace. The National Action Research Report done by Prajwala, which is one of the best pioneering organizations in the country fighting human trafficking, has brought to light some very disturbing trends and needs all of our collective consideration. Globally, there are many instances of the abuse and exploitation being facilitated through misuse of technology. In the United States, Backpace.com was running an illicit sexual marketplace where children as young as 12 years were forced into prostitution by criminals peddling them through classified ads. The site made $500 million over a period of 4 years. With victims coming forth and sharing their harrowing experiences, Backpace has since been banned from the internet and $200 million of its assets seized. Another such site, Craigslist, was forced to shut down the personals section in the wake of the Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act. passed by the Congress. Until 2009, the site has a section titled Erotic Services, where the people openly advertised sexual services. This was later changed to adult services until recently was conflagged under its personal section. The UNODC Global Report on the Trafficking in Persons 2020, in which 79 court cases worldwide containing an element of online technology are revived, characterizes as two main ways the traffickers use the internet to recruit victims: the hunting strategy, characterized by a proactive trafficker who pursues victims online, for example, on social media platforms, and the phishing strategy, more commonly used, which involves traffickers posting advertisements online, such as false job advertisements on linked employment portals, and creating fake employment agencies and waiting for potential victims to contact them. The internet has shifted the recruitment, advertising, and selling process from the street to the digital domain. Criminals and victims leave permanent traces, which facilitates identification but not necessarily intervention. This gap between identification and intervention is becoming more difficult to overcome for law enforcement. It is very clear that globally legislation, law enforcement, and awareness have failed to keep up with the negative uses of technology to foster organized crimes like human trafficking. This is a global problem that requires harmonized responses from the international community. While some tools exist to combat this issue, they often focus on child sexual abuse images and are not used to combat human trafficking for various purposes. Civil society, governments, and technology companies and platforms need to come together to develop both policy and practical solutions. We also need accountability for all stakeholders. Public awareness would be an important defense mechanism. Educating the public about the signs and indicators of trafficking means one has many more people who know when someone is at risk and might report suspicious activity. Empower citizens with this knowledge so we can intensify our efforts. While civil society can play an instrumental role in combating human trafficking, the need is to work for the empowerment of efforts from NGOs, community groups, and volunteers working on the front lines to help victims, advocate for the rights, and prevent exploitation. Another defense mechanism to combat this menace is strengthening laws and policies. The government commits itself to ensuring that our laws and policies remaining strong and up to date in this fight. Traffickers exploit loopholes, and our legislative framework must keep pace with the digital innovations and traffickers exploit. This includes having stronger monitoring provisions, cross-jurisdictional collaboration, and tougher penalties for a cyber-enabled trafficking. In India, though the Information Technology Act and various guidelines of the Supreme Court has enabled the law enforcement to set up cyber monitoring cells, a lot needs to be done, and there is need of provision of statutory provisions, especially for monitoring and investigation of cyber-enabled human trafficking. This is not to say that the Indian government and government of Andhra Pradesh has not recognized the grave threats and challenges posed by cybercrime. In recent years, the government of India has taken several initiatives such as National Cybercrime Reporting Portal, a platform by the government of India to facilitate victims or complaints to report cybercrime complaints online related to online child pornography, child sexual abuse material, or sexual explicit content such as rape, gang rape content. It also looks into other forms of cyber crimes such as mobile crimes, online and social media crimes, online cyber trafficking covered under the Information Technology Act 2000 are in place at some level to combat the new age problem. Furthermore, MHA constituted an expert group to study the gaps and challenges, prepare a roadmap for effectively tackling cybercrime in the country, and give suitable recommendations on all facts of cybercrime. Thus, expert group recommended creation as Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center 14C to strengthen the overall security apparatus to fight against cybercrime. 14C is an initiative of Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, to deal the cybercrime in the country in a coordinated and comprehensive manner. Our aim today is to foster collaboration among the government agencies, NGOs, law enforcement, and tech companies. By sharing insights, strategies, and best practices, we can develop a robust framework to counter cyber-enabled trafficking effectively. I urge all of you to engage openly in discussions, challenge existing models, and contribute your expertise together. We can strengthen our response mechanisms and build a safer digital environment for everyone. As we embark on this important dialogue, let us remain committed to end of human trafficking in all its forms. Your voices and ideas are vital to shaping effective policies and protect our citizens and hold perpetrators accountable. The government of Andhra Pradesh, under the leadership of Honorable Chief Minister Nara Chandrababu Naidu Garu, has taken various initiatives to combat women trafficking, including specialized public units, rescue operations, rehabilitation services, and awareness programs. As part of capacity building of strengthening of AP Police, Honorable CM of AP has proposed the establishment of cybercrime stations in every district headquarters to contain the combat cybercrime in all forms. The Andhra Pradesh Police has undergone significant transformations under the current government. Contrasting with previous government, we are focusing on key initiatives and changes aimed at enhancing the effectiveness, efficiency, and community trust in the police force, like increased funding and resources, recruitment and training, community policing programs, technology integration, focus on women's safety, and improvised public feedback mechanisms. On behalf of Government of AP, we look forward to hearing your deliberations and the recommendations you will give to evolve a blueprint for this great nation to fight together cyber-enabled human trafficking. Thank you so much.
Very reassuring to know of the steps taken by the government and to hear Srimati Anita Vangalapudi, Minister for Home Affairs, Government of Andhra Pradesh, to spell those out to us. It is now time to felicitate all the dignitaries who have made their time to be here with us. I would also, meanwhile, request Srimati Surya Kumari to felicitate the Minister, the Honorable Minister, Srimati Anita Vangalapudi Garu. I'd request Dr. Rekha Abel, Development Consultant, to please step on stage. May I request Sri Saurabh Gaur to also step up to felicitate Srimati Gummadi Sandhya Rani Garu. Yes, Sri Saurabh Sir CG has just felicitated the Honorable Minister. May I request Srimati Swasti Rana, Project Coordinator, to please step up on stage to do the honors for Ms. Jennifer Larson. And to Sri Saurabh, may I request Dr. Sunita Krishnan to do the honors. Thank you to every dignitary, to every person on the stage who has shared his and her insights on this issue and how we can actually arrive at a solution-driven consultation. I would like to thank everybody once again, but more from Srimati Aparna Bhatt, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India. Ms. Aparna Bhatt, a Senior Advocate, has more than 30 years of experience in addressing legal issues relating to trafficking. She has worked on CSAM and online abuse of children, this topic extensively in the last decade, and has argued the case of Prajwala, which led to the creation of the first online reporting portal in India, setting up a VPN for CSAM and created intermediary accountability. To her, I request Srimati Aparna Bhatt to propose a vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure and privilege to have an opportunity to come to this dais and actually propose a vote of thanks. I begin with thanking our Honorable the Chief Minister, Chandrasekhar Babu Naidu, for his acknowledgement of the problem, understanding the depth and the vastness of this problem, his vision, his foresight in this partnership, and the immense support we got for this organizing this event today. I must also thank Srimati Anita Vangalpuri Garu for giving, ma'am, your valuable time, understanding the issue, your continuous empathy for the victims, and creativity in addressing the issues and the challenges that you are presented with. Thank you so much, ma'am.